I'd like to ask you questions, and if you could, everybody just answer with just on the in the chat. I just want to see how everybody's doing. Everybody should answer, and if you don't know the answer, just put a question mark, which is fine. And if you're not sure, put your answer followed by a question mark, and this helps me understand where you're at and in your understanding. Okay. All right. Let's start off. What I'm going to do is go through chapter 2 and ask you some questions based on the content, just to kind of see where you're at. And so first question I'd like to ask is, is HTML the same thing as CSS? Now, CSS, we're going to really study it next week. But right now, I just want to kind of ask some questions about that. Okay, next question is, if you're to give or assign HTML, the job that HTML solves and the job that CSS solves, and you can do it in just a matter of 1 or 2 words. HTML is for blank, and then CSS is for blank. Again, once again, next week is CSS, so it's a little, I should stop asking so much about CSS. Yeah, the HTML is for content, and then CSS is for design. I don't know. HTML is for information. CSS is how to style that information. I know the word content is a little bit general, but the words, HTML contains the words, and CSS contains the styling for those words. Now, images can be included in using HTML, or they can be included using CSS. That's a little bit of a kind of a one in both worlds. The images, if you remember that website that I took you to, the CSS Zen Garden, that one pushed the images or pushed them into the design, meaning it let the CSS commands bring in the images. But historically, the images have been brought into a design using an image tag in HTML. So I want to show you what I mean. I'm going to do File, New, and so here's HTML, and if I insert an image, you'll see this is being done in HTML. Let me see if I can find an image. Public. Open. Let me do that again. fact, what I'm going to do is, because the links are relative, or it's wanting to make them relative to the location of the document, it first wants me to save the document. Now, let me explain to you what just happened. I'm going to close this. And I created a document, file, new, HTML, and then create. So I created this document. Now, this document exists. It's an HTML document, and you remember we pulled a lot of this out. You can pull this extra, the meta tag out. It's kind of non-essential. You can pull this out. Remember that. They put it in there because it's matching the highest standards for an HTML document to have these particular instructions in there. This is a minimal standard to have HTML and so on. It's even more minimal standard to pull out the head completely. I say head just because of the open tag and then the close head. So this is actually the minimal document. So right now, okay, I'll help you, Brandon. I know you got a timer on your test. You're probably taking the test right now. We'll go over those review questions here in a second. So this is HTML, and the question is, does this document, here's the name of the document, does this document exist yet on my disk? Have I saved it yet? And the answer is no. So if I go and attempt to insert an image into the document, it is going to complain because it doesn't know where the document's going to end up on the hard drive. And when I haven't saved it yet, then Dreamweaver is trying to include the file, the image, relative to where the file has been saved. But if it hasn't been saved yet, it will give you this error message, right? Here. This error message is complaining. It's saying, hey, to make a document relative path, in other words, to include this image into your web page relative to, because it's a separate file. That's the interesting thing about HTML. You don't take this image and merge it into the single document. It actually stays separate. And when it stays separate, then it needs to be located somewhere relative to where the document is. But if the document doesn't yet have a location on disk, then it can't be relative. So it says to make a document relative path, your document should be saved first. And if I don't, it will put a file path will be saved until you save your document. So that's pretty interesting. So if I click OK, files outside the root folder of the site week 2. That's manage the website that I'm managing. That actually came from a previous time I'd opened it just a day or two ago. It may not be accessible when you publish the site. Your root folder is this location. Would you like to copy the file there now? Okay, I'm going to cancel because I want to solve this other problem. This problem of I canceled all those prompting messages, but it still went ahead and did the insert. Now, this file is only viewed here. It still remains separate out on the hard drive, and there's the full path to the image. Now, I say full path because it starts at the very top of the Macintosh directory structure and gives me the full path to the location of the image. And so it's protecting itself to be able to know where this file is. Now, if I save this HTML file, this is just the HTML the image is already saved. But if I save this, let's say in my work folder, let's see, work folder and week 1. I'm going to use the file name index, and I'll click save. And now it's got a home. The HTML file now knows where it's going to be saved. And it's now Dreamweaver says, oh, now I know where your file is going to be saved. Do you want me to copy the image from where it's currently located? Do you want me to copy that to an images subfolder of where you've saved the file? I'll say, yeah, copy. Now let's look at the source code. And there it is. I'm going to call it index.html this time. Because without the file extension, Dreamweaver doesn't realize that it is an HTML file. But with the file extension, it now knows to interpret that. So now it doesn't have that full path to the image. Now it's a relative path to the location of this file index.html. And it copied that. So this is the one way to include images, but this is the HTML way. Next week, we'll learn about how to include images within CSS instead of HTML. And that takes a step closer to, it takes a step closer to the aspect of putting the design in CSS. If the design can also include images, then technically you have taken care of pushing design out into CSS, whereas the words can stay within HTML. All right, so let me get back to the textbook, and it sounds like Brandon may be stuck. I'll pause my review of this and I'll jump to these review questions. Just so that we can get caught up. So where can you access the command to display or hide any panel? All panels are listed in the window menu. I wonder if I should go, oh, I don't know. I was thinking about going over the assessment right now, but without giving answers, but just going over that assessment. Let's see. I think that might be a good thing to do. I won't give the answers, but I'll help everybody understand. And frankly, I don't want everybody to type in the answers either. I need to preserve the right of everybody to use their own thinking. So so keep your questions, keep your answers to yourself. All right, we'll look at those. So there's the assignment. And let's look at the okay, the panels are listed in the view menu. Let's see here. Okay, so it's giving you the answer of asking if it's there in the view menu or in the window menu. Are my clicks kind of loud? Maybe I should be using a mouse. I wonder why it's so loud. Okay, next question. The code, design, and split view buttons are components of the window toolbar. Where can you find the code, design, and split view buttons? These buttons are components of the document toolbar. Workspaces can save the configuration of the document window, the open panels, and the panel's size and position on the screen. What can be saved in a workspace? Workspaces can save the configuration of the document window, the open panels, and the panel's size and position on the screen. Okay, so this next one apparently is having problems. Keyboard shortcuts are loaded and preserved independently of a workspace. Do workspaces also load keyboard shortcuts? No. Keyboard shortcuts are loaded and preserved independently of a workspace. Let's see. Keyboard shortcuts are loaded and preserved independently of a workspace. Keyboard shortcuts are loaded and preserved independently of a workspace. So, are most of you saying false? This is a statement. Keyboard shortcuts are loaded and preserved independently of a workspace. And here's a statement. Keyboard shortcuts are loaded and preserved independently of a workspace. Oh, you're probably trying to answer this question when in reality, let's see. Okay, you're trying to answer that question, but the reality is that you're not supposed to be answering question number 4. You're supposed to be, that's not the question. The question is true or false. Keyboard shortcuts are loaded and preserved independently of workspace. So, yeah, it's not asking the question, do workspaces also load keyboard shortcuts? All right. So the question is this a true statement? That's the question. Okay, number 5, the document inspector adapts to the selected element, displaying pertinent information and formatting commands. What happens in the property inspector when you insert the cursor into various elements on the web page? The property inspector adapts to the selected element, displaying pertinent information and formatting commands. The document inspector, the property inspector. Document inspector adapts to the selected element, displaying. What happens in the property inspector when you insert the cursor into various elements on the web page? This one's a little bit tricky. But apparently you're not getting this one wrong. Okay. Let's move to the next one. That one was a little bit tricky. Okay, let's look at number 6. HTML is a plain text language that can be opened and edited in any text editor and viewed in any web browser. What programs can open HTML? HTML is a plain text language that can be opened and edited in any text editor and viewed in any web browser. Number 7, CSS is the markup language that places tags contained within brackets around plain text content to pass information concerning structure and formatting from one application to another. What does a markup language do? A markup language places tags contained within brackets around plain text content. This is a little bit tricky, this one too. You gotta be careful that you know the difference between HTML and CSS. HTML5 is very similar to HTML4 because over 50 tags have been removed from HTML4 and almost 32 new tags have been added. True or false, HTML5 is not very different from HTML4. False, over 30 tags have been deprecated. Deprecated means told that they're going away. Deprecated means be careful, we don't like these tags much anymore, and sooner or later we're going to phase them out completely. That's what deprecated means. So HTML4 had all these tags, and 30 of them kind of got demoted as being a good tag. No longer are they on the good tag list. That's what deprecated means. HTML4 and almost 50 new tags have been added to HTML5. That means almost half of the entire language has changed since it was released in 1998. So that one's pretty straightforward. Question 9, most web pages are composed of 3 sections: heading, body, and footing. think that's a good question. Most web pages compose of 3 sections: a root, head, and body. Well, those are the answers. What are the 3 main parts of most web page? A root, a head, and a body. Root, a head, and a body. Okay, that one should be pretty straightforward. A block element creates a standalone element. An inline element can exist within another element. What's the difference between a block element and an inline element? Block element creates a standalone element. An inline element can exist within another element. Okay. All right, so let's see. I think you said, what was the other one that was tough? 4. I understand why 4 was a little bit confusing. And 7. Let's look at 7 again. CSS, oh, that one's pretty straightforward. CSS, CSS is design stuff. HTML is content stuff. See, that might be a little bit confusing. But here, it says a markup language places tags to HTML markup, hypertext markup language. So HTML is the markup language. CSS is not a markup language, but HTML is, because it's in its name. Okay, that's good. I think we're good for review of the assessment. Now I want to get back to chapter 2 and kind of reviewing through this. All right. Let me ask you a question. Can I start off with an HTML tag? And can I put the close HTML tag anywhere I want whenever I'm done? Can I put the, for example, this close HTML tag up here? Okay, good. Now, this is called the open tag. What is this called? Well, generally speaking, this is called the open tag. What is this one called? Close tag. Good. All right. Now, the content that is displayed on a web page can be found in the head. Now, this doesn't count. The title doesn't count because the title actually is that right there up in the tab of your browser. That's actually the title. But I'm talking about this area down in here below the toolbar. So I can put words, true or false. I can put words and content that will be displayed by the browser in the head section of my document. True or false? I can put words and images in the head section of my HTML document that will be displayed by the browser on the web page. True or false? And if you don't know, just put a question mark. Good job. Right. Just want to point something out. Sometimes tags have a beginning and an ending. Sometimes tags have the beginning and ending in the same tag. Isn't that amazing? For example, a hard rule or a line that's got the beginning and ending. And this is what it looks like when the two are in the same tag. That is the beginning and ending one. See, it doesn't need to have an opening and a closing, an opening and a closing. It's all built in. That is just a line. The break, the BR, is another one. That opening and closing together. All right. If I said, what is the heading tag? Heading tag. And what heading tags do you know about? I'm not saying the head tag. The heading tag. What is the heading tag? You might not have learned that. If you don't know, just put a question mark. A heading tag is where you put the H tag followed by a number 1 through 6. 1 means the biggest, 2 is next smallest. See how this text here is larger than the text down here? That's because there is a heading tag on it. So if you want to make your, I'm going to bring up Microsoft Word just to kind of show it to you a little bit there. Remember, doing websites is a lot like doing word processing. So here we have normal text, heading 1, watch this, heading 2. I'm going to select the heading 1 and then click heading 1. See how that got bigger? Select heading 2, click heading 2. Now, if this were a web document and I did a view source, so we opened up the code, what do you think I would find before heading 1 and after heading 1? Yeah, it would look like that. Yeah, the number 1 is big, 6 is small. Yeah, it goes backwards. So you can see there's the open heading, close heading. See that? Good. And then the same thing for number 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. That's good to know. Okay, good. Now, this idea of inline formatting means this set of tags can actually be put anywhere in the text. And so if you want to emphasize it, it's kind of like they're tags that don't have a lot of structure to it. You just, if you want to bold some words, you put the tags opening and closing around it. Okay, do you have an idea what a comment is? What's the purpose of a comment? A comment. This text can be viewed in the browser. Now watch this. Okay. So, do you think when we refresh over here, are we going to see the words, this text cannot be viewed in the browser? Watch. See that? This text can be viewed in the browser, but this text can, oops, what just happened? Oh, sorry, I meant to do that. No. So it's a way to put words in your file that don't get displayed by the browser. The browser ignores these completely. It skips right over them. The reason it does that is those are called comments. And the comments are hidden to the browser and anybody seeing it. But if you're looking at the code, you would see it. And if we actually looked at this web page, if we save this web page out and then looked and then the browser opened it up, we would only see this. But if we did a view source, here's a tough question. If we took this file and saved it, which we have, and we opened it up in the browser, here it is right here. If we open it up in the browser, this browser document looks a lot like this. Now, it is two dashes, exclamation point, two dashes, but they don't have an exclamation point at the end. So here's the web page here. Now, here's the question. If I do a view page source, am I going to see the comments that I currently cannot see because of this rendered view? I'm going to look at view page source. Will I see the comments that I see right here? True or false? Yes or no? Good. Answer is yes, you will. See that? There it is. Okay, good. Yeah, they're still there. They just aren't being viewed by the browser. Yeah, that's a good thing with Google Chrome to do right-click, inspect element. It's very good. Okay, so A is an anchor tag that creates a hyperlink. Block quote, body tag, BR, there's one opening and closing on the same one. Div tag stands for division. It divides up the page content. Emphasis form H1 to H6. Head, HR, beginning and ending tag all in the same. iframe, this one's quite interesting. You can do an iframe tag and actually put an entire other web page within an open and close iframe tag, which is in another. So it's kind of like embedding a web page within another web page. That has to be done in the body section. Here it is, including an image. We're just looking at that a second ago. Here, image. Oops, clicked on the wrong thing there. Input, that's for a form, like a text field or a button or a bullet point. LI is list item. List item is essentially something in word processing is like this. List items are like that, 1, 2, 3. And so in the HTML code, you put an LI before each of these, and then the browser will actually put in the 1, 2, and 3. That's just kind of cool. You don't type the 1, 2, and 3. You just put LI, and it does the numbering automatically for you. You do have to start off with an OL, which is an ordered list, in order to have them numbered, or a UL if you just want bullet points automatically placed. P for paragraph, script, and for like JavaScript, span, just kind of like a section within a division. You can span things, and certain commands will have their effect within the span. Strong means like bold. Style is including CSS within your HTML page. Table. And then tables are made up of rows commands, and rows are made up of TD commands. Right here, table data. And then the first row ought to have TH instead of TD, because that's the header row. And then you have the title. The title of all of these, let's see, title and style are the ones, meta tag, those are, and link, that's the set of tags that would be in the head section. And I think we're running out of time. Does anybody else have any additional questions about this chapter? These are some of the new things that you can do. By the way, were you aware that HTML5 and CSS3 have as an objective, a mission, is to be able to enable the developer to do what can be done in Adobe Flash. HTML5 and CSS3 are like Flash killers. Not, it's not good to sound like that they're trying to target a technology and take it out, but they are definitely trying to provide an open standard. And that's what HTML5 and CSS3 have sought to do. All right, well, let's call it a night. Boy, some of you guys have been here for, wow, 3.5 hours. I'm amazed.
Wait, I just have a quick question.
Sure.
So in the CSS, since that's where we would like put images and stuff, I mean, is that where we can also like add colors to our background of our page and everything, or am I just kind of jumping ahead of myself?
No. Yep, that's right.
Okay. Because I figured out how to, well, Beth helped, me put an image in. I have a little sample one that I used, and I put, an image in one of them, and it just popped right up, and I was like, oh, whoa, cool, So I was just curious as to, if that's where we would, put like colors and stuff like that too as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to see here. Text align, border, margin, width. Trying to see what we're going to learn next chapter.
So is this for next week?
Yeah, next week, the CSS.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Well, I can wait until next week, or I don't want to jump ahead of myself too much or anything. So
Sure, sounds good. See right there, there's an attribute, color, background color.
Oh, okay. Yes. Oh, interesting. Okay, cool.
Font family. What this means is everything within the body will default to a background color of this hexadecimal number. What this says is if you use the H1 tag, its color is going to be orange, and its alignment will be centered in the area there where you put the text. Here is, if you use the tag, we're going to assign it to have the font family Times New Roman, and that will also be font size 20 pixels. CSS is a way for you to override the defaults that are going to be associated with these. You're kind of saying, oh, well, actually, I want it to be this color, not the standard white, or I want the text to be this color, not the standard black. This is where you override what's going to end up happening with each of these. This is how you override them. So you're customizing the tags. You're kind of embellishing the default behaviors of the tags with your own rendition of CSS.
Oh, okay, cool. Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, well, I'm going to boogie and go to bed.
Awesome. Have a good evening. Yeah, don't worry about chapter 1. If you have CS6, go ahead and go through it. If you don't, then there's a web page that I thought would be helpful to do instead, but I haven't gotten the word out on it yet. This is kind of like in place of chapter 1. If you have CS6, I haven't yet. I was talking to the dean about this idea that instead of chapter 1, if you had CC, I was thinking about having the students who have CC, if they want something in place of chapter 1, then they could go to this link. But I haven't gotten the word out yet, and for that anyway. So right now I'm not worrying about chapter 1. I'm researching that, Brandon. I don't know the answer. I'm trying to figure out if we have access to any new. I don't even know what is in our own, what we can access. So once I find out, I'll send out the word. Okay. All right. If you don't have any further questions, have a good evening. Thanks again for attending. And once again, thank you, DJ. I appreciate you helping me out tonight. Yeah, I'll keep asking about that, Brandon, and I'll let everybody know what I learned. Thank you. Yeah, didn't go perfectly tonight. Oh yes, let me talk to you about that. In fact, I'll let's see. I'll end the recording here in a second. Oh, I just said when you said it went well enough, I thought you were saying that tonight went well enough at work, but I guess maybe you were talking about the evening online. That's what I misunderstood.